welcome to the shot of the day. Let's talk some Kansas City Chiefs football. Do I sound excited? Well, it's not because the Chiefs won, it's because they won and I get to drink again. I haven't had a shot in 6 weeks. I've been sober for 6 weeks, waiting for the Chiefs to win. That's the only excitement this victory brought to me. It's a hollow victory because it's just more of the same. I mean, there were some good things. The defense showed up today. I'm wearing my camo hat because the Chiefs went hunting. And that's what it takes to win, is use Kareem Hunt. The offensive line did step up. Our defense stepped up, which proves one or two things. You know, when you have a pass rush that has a fire lit under their ass because they suspended one of the top players, maybe that's what it takes. Maybe we got to go the apprentice and take every defensive player into the boardroom and fire one of them once a week. But you shouldn't have to do that if they're professionals. So it was either the defensive performance today was one or two things. It was either a fire was lit under their ass with the Peters suspension, or we proved we can play without Peters. And maybe he's a cancer on the team. We're better off without Peters, is what I believe, and he should be traded. He'll be gone in the offseason, as long with D Ford, who I think is on IR right now. We don't need either one of them to come back. We need to make some changes. But, you know, Peters getting suspended was the right thing to do, and it seemed to inspire the team for whatever reason. I think it's a combination of both, lighting a fire and getting the cancer away from the team. Maybe Peters will learn his lesson. I hope so. Maybe he jumps on the Raiders plane and goes back to the Bay Area with his kissing cousin, Marshawn Lynch, who's equally a psycho. I mean, what about that hit Derek Johnson put on Marshawn Lynch? Great hit, but, you know, that's a one-off. Derek Johnson is old. You know, he's going to get one of those hits. We need someone to hit like that on every play. Love Derek Johnson, but he's old. And what we did by running the ball, using Hunt today, is it gives our defense a rest. And that's what we need to do because our defense is old. We can't score. We have the ability to score quick. Maybe not today in the red zone, but we have the ability to score quick. But the problem is that means the defense has to go back out there. They're old and not that good. They get tired, and they're not going to be able to make hits like that. Derek Johnson was able to make that hit because he was well rested and well within his pitch count. Love the guy, but his time is past. Houston played Chris Jones. You know, went counting crow, Mr. Jones, and he showed up and was who we thought he could be. I mean, Jones looked great today, put the pressure, looked almost as good as Bruce Irvin for the Raiders, who got all over Alex Smith today. Alex Smith was okay today. He was more of a game manager, threw the ball deep a few times. Albert Wilson, I give the BDP chain. Big dick player was Albert Wilson. He's really, I've criticized him in the past as being Alex Smith's whoopee, you know. But, hey, he comes up in the clutch, and I think he's the hardest working, most trusted receiver for Alex Smith. I don't know what type of circle of trust they've developed. I don't know if it's some sort of circle jerk that the other receivers aren't invited in. But Travis Kelce had an okay day. Had 2 touchdown opportunities that he blew. One, you know, he was almost down there. He was within 6 inches. Could have reached the ball out, I thought, but maybe I'm being too hard on him. I probably am. The other one, you know, he dropped going in there. Another one, he scored to go in, but it was a penalty. May the Schwartz be with you. Schwartz got a penalty, ineligible offensive lineman down the field. So if you had, you know, Alex Smith and Travis Kelce in your daily fantasy, leagues, like I did in a couple small ones because I don't trust them. Who would bet on the Chiefs? But why not try it every once in a while? That was a 28-point swing between Smith, you know, and Kelce being wiped out twice or not quite getting there. And Kelce was upset on the sidelines, you know, yelling at Reed. I saw it for a little bit. Who knows what it was about? Maybe he was doing his impression of Marcus Peters because he's the equally volatile player as Marcus Peters on the offensive side of the ball, though Kelce is probably in a little better control of his emotions. But I think sometimes when Kelce messes up in the red zone or drops a pass, I think he's already thinking about his touchdown celebration, all right? That's his problem. He's getting all excited about what kind of goofy celebration, and he didn't get to do one today. And to his credit, you know, he didn't over-celebrate when he did make a good play today. Like I said, the offense we were up 26-0. We let them back in. The Raiders, couldn't do the onside kick deal. I mean, that's a lot of luck a lot of the time. But Derek Carr, he was awful today. The Raiders didn't show up. They quit in the second half. I thought, and I like the Raiders. That's why I got some Raiders colors going, because really the Chiefs and the Raiders, are kind of the same. Raiders had big expectations coming in the preseason. Shit the bed. The Chiefs starting off 5-0, then shit the bed. They're both, you put them together and maybe you have a full team, but who knows? Because there's leadership issues with both teams. The offensive line for the Raiders not doing that great. They're supposed to be one of the best, not showing up. Our offensive line is not one of the best, but played better today. Our defensive line played better. Our defense played better than the Raiders, and I think a lot of it goes to prove this is why we don't need Marcus Peters. We trade him in the offseason, get something for him, because he will lose you more games now going forward unless he gets some medication. I truly believe the dude is mentally ill and needs some meds, or needs to go back to the Bay Area, and maybe that's that change of scenery going back home will do him well. I don't know, but he's not a Chief, all right? Got to get rid of him. A lot of articles, he's not nice. I don't care about a player being nice. I want him to be mean on the field. I just don't want him to be cuckoo and do stupid stuff. I mean, a lot of times you just ask a player, just go do your job, and all I'm asking is don't fuck up. The DFU theory is like, just don't fuck up, all right? I know you're not maybe going to be the best player all the time. Just don't fuck up. That's all I ask. Not asking you to wear the BDP chain all the time. Big dick player. Albert Wilson was the only big dick player today. I mean, Tyreek Hill made some, plays, but Alex Smith, I think, failed in the red zone very often. Some of it was penalties, but in the first half, on the first drive, he refused to pull the trigger on probably a touchdown, and then promptly took a sack. He went turtle, in the red zone, and we settled for field goals. Thank God butt kicker was back and kicking them, but, Alex Smith is a nice guy, and that's why they show the image of him, man of the year, all right? He does all this charity work, which is great, but it's like, do some charity for the Chiefs fans and pull the trigger sometimes, get the ball down the field. I saw a commercial, I think it was a Ford F-150, and they do a shot of freaking Alex Smith, and then they flash up the graphic gunslinger. More fake news. I would sue that company who ran that commercial. False advertising. He is not a gunslinger. Does it every once in a while, but he's more scared to do it than not. He is not. He is a good quarterback. He is not an elite quarterback, because an elite quarterback would have converted a lot of those red zone opportunities. But we ran a good game plan. We ran because we ran. We ran a good game plan because we ran the ball better today, which gives our defense rest, which proves the point. We had a pass rush today. And you can get away with average cornerbacks, average safeties, average cornerbacks if you have a better than average or a great pass rush. Jones did it some today. Houston did it some. Jenkins. There was good defensive line play, and that allows you to get away, with average or below average quarterbacks like we have. And they stepped up. Like I said, there was a fire. There was a California wildfire lit under their ass. I mean, because they know. And I think we got to do that. Fire a player a week, if that's what it takes. And I just wouldn't bring Marcus Peters back, because I think sometimes the defensive line gets lazy thinking that he's back there and going to cover somebody. But he gets flustered, and it's only a matter of time before he loses us a game. And I mean, this is all, like I said, fake news anyway. This win means nothing. It was a must-win game, all right? And maybe it was a trap game for the Raiders, coming in because everyone's beating the Chiefs. Maybe it was a trap game, and they came back and beat us the last time, and they were the better team. The last time we played, the Raiders were the better team last time. And I guess we were better today, but I think it was more of how crappy the Raiders played today. And Derek Carr just looked more like old school Alex Smith, throwing sideways, short passes, kind of afraid to go down the field, inaccurate. It was odd, and maybe he's still hurt, or maybe he's not who we thought he was. But his offensive line isn't doing him any favors, like our offensive line hasn't done any favors for Alex Smith in the past. Alex Smith, like I said, he becomes a BDP when he runs the ball, but goes turtle, little shrinkage, Seinfeld style, when he needs to pull the trigger down the field. He does it just enough, and today was a just enough type of win. We don't have the killer instinct. Alex Smith does not have the killer instinct. That's why we settled for field goals instead of TDs in the red zone. I mean, he's got to convert those. If he had the killer instinct or was elite, even like a Carson Wentz, look at what a Carson Wentz is doing with a Chiefs offensive coordinator going back to Philly where Andy Reid left. A little bit of Twilight Zone, multiverse shit going on right there. I mean, if Doug Peterson can go there and take a second-year quarterback, and look what they've done to the Eagles, you know. I mean, I think some of this is coaching. I'm not blaming it all on Alex Smith. He's good, not great. He's not going to win us in the play. All this is like, you get excited for a win today, but you just know how it's going to end, guys. We are now, I haven't seen the final score of the Chargers. I know they're winning. They pulled Phillip Rivers, so they're going to win. So I guess technically there's a tie for first, but we have the tiebreaker right now. But the must-win game is next week against the Chargers. They come into Arrowhead Saturday night. I don't see how we beat the Chargers. They're just smoking hot right now. Phillip Rivers is being Phillip Rivers. We need him, you know, to have one of his breakdown games where he throws 5 interceptions in the red zone. I don't know if that's going to happen. You got Keenan Allen. We can't rely on him getting hurt at Arrowhead like before. They got a lot of good receivers at Hunter Henry. The defense, Bosa, Ingram, their corners, Cameron Hayward. I mean, they are a better team even on paper right now than the Chiefs. So the only advantage the Chiefs have is being at home, which that really hasn't been proven. Because with a team like the Chargers, you play like you played today, all right? And you get up, you got to put your foot on their throat. You got to choke them out. You got to make them tap out, you know, and I just don't see the Chiefs being able to do that. And the inconsistency is, oh, we got to win. You know, are they going to relax this week, thinking, oh, everything's okay right now, when it really isn't? I mean, the Chargers are the team to beat in the AFC West, AFC Worst. AFC stands for Average Football Conference because everyone's average basically at 500. Or just below or just over. I mean, it's no one going out of the AFC West really scares anybody in the playoff hunt except maybe the Chargers because they get it done, you know, on offense and defense, and they put it together on a consistent basis where the Chiefs did it today, but I think it was more of an issue of the Raiders playing crappy. And like I said, we have to run the ball. Okay, if we get in a shootout with the Chargers, what does that mean if we get in a shootout with the Chargers? That means if we do some quick scores, like we have the ability to, which sounds good, but now what have we learned about quick scores? When you have an old, broken down defense, and I guess Revis played better today. Maybe he brought some leadership. I didn't hear his name called for good or bad. I didn't really, you know, catch him, but the problem is our defense is old and not that good. So if you keep them on the field for a long time, or if you score quickly and they have to come back out, they're going to break down. They are on a pitch count. I mean, they're basically a 13-year-old kid who just had Tommy John surgery because they're overbearing parents living vicariously through the 13-year-old are making them throw curveballs at 13 and pitching 3 days in a row. I mean, we can't do that with our defense, okay? They're going to break down. They are going to break down. So our game plan has to be, and we did it today, a little more vanilla. We weren't very complicated, and that's what we have to do. We can't get too cute, maybe one time a game. We're going to have to run the ball, old school Chiefs, control the clock, and pull the trigger when we have to pull the trigger. Not go turtle. When we get into the red zone, we cannot settle for field goals over touchdowns because the Chargers and Phillip Crimea Rivers, I really can't stand the guy. At least we're not losing to San Diego, who have some of the worst fans. Just kidding, Charger friends. Not really. But, I mean, they're a homeless team that plays in a soccer stadium, and that, you know, where they came from and where they went to, both have Hep C breakouts because of the homeless population, and one of the wealthiest homeless population are the San Diego Chargers. They don't know. They're a team without a home, but they're sucking it up. They're professionals. They're showing up. They've started out 0-4 and overcame adversity. We started out 5-0, lost 6 out of 7. We won today, but did I really see a shift of us coming over adversity? Do I have any confidence that they're going to beat the Chargers next week? Hell no. I mean, if I was an objective bettor, you got to take, I don't know what the spread is yet, but you got to take the Chargers over the Chiefs. I just don't see it unless there's injuries or Phillip Rivers has one of his meltdowns where he's throwing a lot of interceptions. But for him to throw a lot of interceptions, that is taking a big assumption that we are going to have the pass rush. It would have to be a better pass rush than we had today. And, you know, Marcus Peters would have to keep his head, and the other guys wouldn't have to be as crappy as they really are. Our defense played above their heads today. And they play like they can if they can only. Our defense is really only built for half a game because of age and lack of talent. They're only built for half a game. And like I said, today they look good. It's like, yeah, they had a fire. But I think some of it is, you know, the Raiders, you know, the Raiders and the Chiefs, you don't know what you're going to get week to week. They're inconsistent. They're, you know, not living up to expectations. Can't predict what they're going to do, except they're going to screw up in some fashion. Today, the Chiefs, you know, played a good, average game. Should have blown out that Raiders team. Should have blown them out, or at least should have kept the shutout. Shouldn't have let them back in the game. But that's what, there wasn't really that much time left. It would have been a miracle. But as we learned the last time we played the Raiders, you know, gets down to it, we're going to give a team 8-10 tries, you know, in the red zone, you know, or if they're on the 1 yard line and the first and goal, that means it's really first and goal and you'll get 8 tries because we'll screw up somehow. We had some penalties today, like the Schwartz thing, and shot ourselves in the foot, but it was more of a, you know, it was just vanilla. We don't have the killer instinct. We don't. Even though we went hunting, did we really kill anything, you know? And, you know, I'm all for hunting, just as long as you eat what you kill. That's all I'm saying. That goes for those ghost hunters out there. I don't mind. I'm all for hunting. I don't like the big game trophy hunting. Against that, I'm all for hunting. Just eat what you kill. And that includes ghost hunters, all right? Eat what you kill. Just saying. And I'll give you, I was in KC last week, and I'll give you an analogy of how the Chiefs, what I think the problem is, there's no passion in the franchise except crazy passion, like Kelsey, who's cuckoo, but it's relatively controlled. Peters is, I think, criminally, mentally ill. I think that's the direction it's heading. I could see a, you know, sadly, a Belcher situation going on with that dude. Sadly. But I'll give you an example. I went to the Chiefs corporate Christmas party, you know, for the corporate partners last week in Kansas City at the Grand Hall. And, I hate to say this, you know, thanks for the invitation, but it was an awful party. I've never been to such a boring. This is an NFL party. There were no players there. There were no cheerleaders there. There were no players, you know, past, you know, present. I guess you can't have future players there. Clark Hunt wasn't there. No coaches, no press. Mitch Holdis was the only guy there at the Chiefs party. They gave out some nice whiskey glasses engraved, you know, with the arrowhead on it as a gift, you know, which is basically telling you you're going to have to drink your way through this season, which I have no problem doing, all right? But the party was weak. The president came up and gave a speech, and the sound system was terrible. It was so boring. You know, once again, he's talking about charity, which is great. You want to do charity work in the community. But they're not talking about winning. No passion about winning. He did mention that he talked to Andy Reid, and, you know, he used the word Andy Reid was pissed at what was going on. And everyone's like, ooh, you know, for the, I mean, I think there was only like freaking, I would say not even 100 people there. Not even 100 people. Food was okay, open bar, which I'm a fan of. But the speech was, this. I think the president is Mark Donovan. I don't know. No one could hear him. He was just talking monotone, telling just boring-ass stories, not firing up the crowd, no passion. Should have gone out there with some self-deprecating humor, saying, look, yeah, I know we suck. We're going to turn it around. We still have a chance. We're kicking ass. We suspended Psycho Peters. We're going to trade him in the offseason. I mean, good Lord. Probably could trade him to Cleveland Browns right now. I think John Dorsey would take him, and we probably could get some good draft picks. Dorsey's over there, which I think he'll do a good job for the Browns. How could you not? The bar's set pretty low. Hugh Jackson, though, why he's still there, I have no clue. Dorsey will scout good talent, you know, make the easy decision of, like, not passing on someone like Carson Wentz and taking Sam Darnold or Rosen, the Rosen one. But John Dorsey will screw up their salary cap because that's what he did here. Great evaluator of talent, cannot manage money. Like a drunken teenage chick that you gave your credit card to. Not going to end well with the credit limit. All right. Let's see. Let's just go over my notes here. The party was weak. My point is, if an NFL team, that making crap loads of money can't throw a decent Christmas party, I mean, there should have been drunken cheerleaders. There should have been a lot of sexual harassment claims after the party and people resigning. That's what kind of party you need to throw in the NFL. I'm talking old school 80s, 90s, Dallas White House shit right there. Cowboys White House shit with Michael Irvin inviting frickin' Willie Wilson down and Willie Aikens, with the bump it up at the White House in Dallas. All right. Harris, I can't. This guy I can't stand, the tight end. He had a good catch today with some yak. Speaking of the yayo, he yacked. But then he dropped a sure touchdown. Why is he involved in the offense? I don't know. We got another must-win next weekend. But I'm going to say right now, Chargers are going to win. I just don't see what I've seen this season from the Chiefs, how the Chiefs beat the Chargers next week in a must-win. This is a gut test. I hope they prove me wrong, because if they beat the Chargers next week, you'll have a little more hope, and it'll set you up a little bit higher for a bigger disappointment, most likely, in the playoffs. But that's really, their playoff season starts next Saturday. They got to beat the Chargers, which I don't think they'll do. Probably lose 35-24 is my feeling. But, they're going to have to count on Rivers melting down, which he does one game a year, maybe multiple games. Very rare. He's on a roll right now, and probably some injuries. Hopefully Keenan Allen's leg, not hopefully, scratch that. But that's what I'm saying it would take, is his leg falling off again. Let's see. So, yeah, Smith took a lot of sacks today. He went full turtle a number of times. Just afraid to pull the... Poor Amari Cooper. That guy can't catch a ball. I don't know what's going on with him, Raiders fans. I mean, dude, and then he twisted his ankle and screamed like a little girl. Did you hear him? I could hear it through my TV, him screaming like a girl on a twisted ankle. Yeah, I'm sure it hurt, but come on now. That's not Raider-esque, even just seriously, Cooper, step it up a little bit. You're drinking the Vaginex instead of some real PEDs, which maybe the Chiefs are on today. I'm all for PEDs for recovery, not for throwing on 50 pounds in a week, but, for recovery, shoot them up. I don't care. Go in the little tent and just be a pincushion. It's all about winning. I don't care. Yeah, everybody. Charity is good. It's a good thing, but we can all do charity, We can't all go out and play professional football and win a game, and that's what we pay to see. We pay to see a freaking championship run. We don't pay to hear about how much charitable work the Chiefs are doing. Don't give a shit. It's a nice thing, but I don't go to my football games to hear about their charitable contributions. I want to go there for freaking victories. That's the charity. Get a Salvation, ring the Salvation Army bell and put in freaking wins in the pot instead of the bell ringing like Game of Thrones. Shame, shame, shame. You lose again. Kelsey, he had a weird day today. Just a weird day. And I was just waiting for him to implode. Both teams, have imploded, the Raiders and the Chiefs. Basically the silver and black dome. The silver dome, it will be the Raiders. The Chiefs are the Georgia dome. Both, are imploding. Maybe it's more of like we'll call them the Chiefs and the Raiders both. We can call them the Living Under the Dome, which was an awful TV show. But those two teams together, if you combine them, it would probably be the Super Silver Georgia Dome of total implosion, or the Superdome during Katrina, which you don't want to know what happened in there. There's a lot of pooping going on, a lot of Hep C. The Chargers would, they would consider that a home game, but there was a lot of raping going in there. Like I said, the Chiefs, we didn't get face raped today. Thank God. We don't have to. They didn't Weinstein us today. We don't have to. Every Monday for the past 6 out of 7 weeks, I filed sexual harassment charges against the Matt Lauer-esque freaking Chiefs. When I started watching the game, they hit the button. They locked me in to major face raping. Don't need that from an NFL. Don't care about the charity. Don't care about being Man of the Year. I want you to be the MVP. If Man of the Year, Walter Payton Man of the Year comes with it, it's a little sidecar, great. But Kansas City Chiefs are too worried about being nice. They're too worried about being nice. And you got to be good. I'm not saying being bad, you know. I'm just saying on the field, get the job done, be mean, be bad on the field. Then go out and do your charitable work. But this whole, this Midwestern, oh, nice, they're playing, it ain't going to get you a Super Bowl. It's just not. I'm not talking about playing dirty. I'm just talking about playing tough and punching somebody in the sack when you need to, instead of taking a sack on third down and settling for a field goal instead of a touchdown. Shot of the day. Sack it up. Santa. I know what Santa can bring the Chiefs. Bring Santa. He's carrying a big sack. Santa, give your sack to the Chiefs because they're lacking sack. They like to take sacks, but they need it. They need a sack to put the killer instinct to finish teams off, and they just can't finish. They just can't. I mean, and it's not this win today. I'm just going to say it means nothing. A win against the Chargers maybe means something next week. This win means nothing other than it's a teaser bet. It's suckering us. It's teasing us, setting us up for a bigger letdown. That's all this win means right now. Because I don't see anything here today other than they didn't suck. You know, we can now, in the Chiefs' kingdom, we weren't in the pit of misery today. We no longer have to say shitty, shitty. We can go back to dilly, dilly. But next week could be back to the pit of misery, and we'll just be going shitty, shitty. And we got Stockholm syndrome with the Chiefs treating their fans, holding us hostage to crappy seasons so often. We're used to it. We're sympathizing with our captors to the point, like the commercial. Oh, the Chiefs got us to the freaking Chiefs Kingdom pit of misery. Shitty, shitty. You can escape just for a beer run to come back. You know, this is the weird psychology. The Chiefs' psychology needs to change. More discipline, which the suspension of Peters, I think, showed, but you got to follow it up if it does again, and I would trade him in the offseason. I think that would send a real message. You got to cut Holly. You got to let D Ford go. Unfortunately, you got to let Derek Johnson go. You got to clean house. You know, Revis, you don't bring him back next year. It's just too old. You got to go youth because we're so old, you can't, you know, we got to run out the clock. We got to game manage the offense. And if we quick strike, it's like, oh, yeah, that was great. Just scored a quick touchdown. But that just means our defense is going to be tired, you know, they're worn out, heavy breathing from putting their tennis balls on the bottom of their walkers on the frickin' sideline. I've had enough. I can't be positive. Though it's the holiday season, Merry Christmas. I'm feeling good. Like I said, I'm not going to get emotionally invested into the Chiefs this year because there will be no return on that emotional investment. Just watch it for observations and see how they react. Today's win means nothing. Next week's win, if they can beat the Chargers, could mean something. Doubt it, but it could mean something. But it's a must win, and really, that's the season. You know, if they beat the Chargers, oh, there's a chance. You saying there's a chance? Yeah, I guess. Not too optimistic. But if they lose to the Chargers, it's over. Love you, Chiefs Kingdom. Sorry I'm not, that enthusiastic other than the shot tasted so good. It was so good. Just, 7 weeks without any booze. Wink, wink. Just saying, I actually drank, at least I got some free booze at the Chiefs Christmas party, which was weak sauce. I mean, that's what they should have given out at the freaking Christmas party instead of whiskey glasses is, just watered down barbecue sauce or the water and the freaking mustard when you scoot that weak sauce. Because that's what the Chiefs organization is, I think, top from bottom right now. Santa needs to bring in and give everybody sack. Not coal in the stocking, not presents, not this, not that, sack. Everybody get a sack from Santa. Santa, just load up sacks. Paper, plastic, I don't give a shit. Destroy the environment as long as we have all the sack we need. Love you guys. Merry Christmas.